welcome back to my channel. So today I filmed this really beautiful, more natural bridal makeup tutorial. This tutorial is great if you are the bride, if you are in the bridal party. You can totally achieve this look on your own. I think that this tutorial did a really great job in showing you guys how kind of simple it is to maybe even do your own bridal makeup. I know that with this pandemic, a lot of weddings have been postponed, or maybe you guys are doing like smaller weddings with just a few people. So maybe you don't have anyone to really do your makeup this year, or it's just harder, you don't feel comfortable. Then I hope that this video can help you guys out in some way or some form. So I really do like the way this more natural, glowy bridal makeup tutorial came out. I also filmed a more dramatic glam one about a year ago, so I will link that. So if a more dramatic look is for you, then you guys should check out that video. But I do think that this tutorial would just look amazing on so many people. It is just really beautiful, it's timeless, it was really easy to achieve, it's definitely more natural, and you just really look like a glowing goddess on your wedding day, and I think that's what everybody wants. If you guys want to see how to get this more glowy, natural bridal makeup tutorial, then please keep on watching. First, we're going to start by priming our face, and for a wedding, especially if it's in the summertime or just anytime you really want your makeup to stay on all day long. Of course, you're going to be doing touch-ups, but you do want a long-lasting base. So I always like to use a nice mattifying primer. So this is a really good one that I love because it also takes care of pores. So this is the Hello Fab Pores Be Gone Matte Primer, and it's just a really good primer. This is a little sample size one. So I'm just going to take a little bit onto clean hands and just place that all over my face, and concentrating more towards my T-zone where I have the most pores. Okay, so before we do any foundation, I'm going to do the eyes first, just because I think that it keeps everything nice and clean, and then you don't have to worry about any eyeshadow rooting your foundation, especially for something as important as a wedding day. You really want to make sure your foundation is flawless and everything is just running smoothly. So first I'm going to start by doing my eyebrows. So I'm just going to use a spoolie here, and I'm just going to lift my brow hairs up, make sure they're all nice and even and combed. And I'm just going to take this little thin angled brush. This is a Sigma E06 winged liner brush, and then I'm going to dip into this brow pomade by Benefit. This is their Cabal Cream Gel Brow Pomade, and this is in the shade number 3. So it's just like a really nice light neutral brown. Of course, if you have a darker brows, then this will be much too light, but it's really nice for my brows, I think, because my brows aren't too dark, and I do like to keep them a little bit more lighter, especially for a wedding day. I just really don't want my brows to be like too intense or like too distracting, so I'm just kind of going to go really soft with the brows. So I'm just going to dip into this with this angled brush, then I'm just going to create brush like strokes with this angled brush, and it's just going to create that nice feathered look. So I actually have pretty full brows, so I'm not going to do too much here. I'm just kind of lightly filling in any sparse areas. So it's honestly up to your own personal taste and what you feel like your own brows need. If you have more sparse brows, then you'll need more product. And if you have more hair, then you will definitely need less product. So, okay, so we have the brows filled in, and now I'm gonna go in with my favorite eyebrow gel. This is the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter Gel, and this is honestly the best stuff, guys. It will keep your brows in place all day long. So I'm just gonna place some of that through my brows to go upwards. So this will literally, however you place them, it will stay in place once it sets all day. I promise you, it's like the best stuff. Okay, now I'm going to prime my eyelids. I'm going to use this Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer. I love this stuff, and it will definitely make sure that your eyeshadow will not crease and that it will last all day long and just really stay nice for an entire wedding day. So I'm just going to place some of that onto my finger and just pounce it on my eyelids. Okay, so we have our eyelid primer on. Now let's go into some shadows. I'm actually going to use this ColourPop MULAN eyeshadow palette. Honestly, I love the ColourPop shadows. They're really good quality. They last all day long, and this palette here just has a bunch of beautiful neutral shades here, which is perfect for a nice, beautiful, neutral wedding day look. So I really love all the shadows in this palette, and it just had everything I needed in one. So I'm going to be using this palette today. Okay, so in the crease, I'm going to go into this nice neutral brown shade. This is almost like a skin tone kind of shade. It's really, really nice. I'm going to go in with this big fluffy blending brush from Hank & Henry in the style called Savvy. So I'm just going to place that all in the crease and just make sure that we have a really nice blending shade there. So this one will look amazing in the crease and it'll just help everything blend out beautifully. And that shade is called Brave. Okay, so we just have that one shade all nicely blended into the crease, and this is going to be a really easy eye look because I do want to keep things super simple and more on the natural side. Now I'm going to go in with this PIXI. This is like a liquid eyeshadow, and these are one of my favorites because they're so easy to apply. They're so beautiful. They're like glittery and just gorgeous. This one is in the shade called Mirage, and I'm just going to place that all on the lid and kind of just blend it out with a brush. You guys will see the technique, but this is honestly one of my favorite colors as well, and I love these PIXI liquid eyeshadows. They're just so easy and beautiful, and this will honestly last all day. It will dry on your eyelids, so you don't have to worry about like glitters falling or anything, so I love this stuff. So I'm just going to take this little flat brush here. You can use any kind of fluffy, wider brush, and that's just going to help me kind of diffuse the shadow. So I'm just going to place some more towards the inner corner, but it doesn't have to be perfect, so you can just place it roughly, and then I'm going to use this brush and just kind of smoke it out and like blend it more towards the upper part of my eyelid. So this will dry, so you want to do one eye at a time, and you're just kind of blending it out. Like as you can see, I'm kind of just using patting motions just to kind of diffuse some of that product more towards my eyebrows. As you can see, it just looks like really soft and beautiful. There's like some like golden peachy glitters in there, so it just goes really nicely with this kind of like neutral warm brown tone that we use in the crease. Then we can add a little bit more as we go. See how simple that is, and it just looks really beautiful. It's like fresh, but you're still getting a little bit of the glam look with the glitter in there, so I really love this, and you honestly cannot get any simpler than this in my opinion. Now I think I kind of want to use a little bit of a dark brown eyeshadow to kind of align the lid and create a little bit of a cat eye with an eyeshadow, just to keep it really soft and just add a little bit more attention to the eyes, but not going too crazy. So I'm going to go in with this Morphe JH43 brush here. This is just like a flat brush, and I'm going to dip into this shade here called True, and this is a nice dark, rich dark brown shade, so that'll just be a little bit lighter than a black shade, so it'll look really nice with the eye look. And once we get to the outer corner, I'm kind of just going to create a little bit of a cat eye, so I'm just taking that color out, and as you can see, it's like dark, but it's not too dark, so you get the cat eye effect, but it's not really intense. Okay guys, so you can see that there is a little bit of fallout, but that is okay because that is why we did the eyeshadow first, because I love to just use a wet wipe and just kind of clean the eyes underneath to make sure that we're nice and ready for the foundation and concealer, and we're not going to ruin anything on our face. And this is also a really good trick, especially with this eyeshadow liner here, because it's just going to really make sure that it's nice and clean, and it just kind of completes the look in my opinion, so I love doing this. I'm just going to take this wipe and just kind of clean the outer corner and anywhere that there's fallout. Okay guys, so now it's time for foundation, and I'm gonna go in with one of my all-time favorite foundations. This is the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and I love this one. I'm going to go in with the shade called M2 Santa Fe, so it's a really nice neutral kind of medium tone color. So our face is already primed, so I'm just gonna go right in with this damp beauty blender. I did wash it, but it's a bit stained, but make sure that it's nice and damp and clean, and I'm just gonna pound some of that foundation onto this beauty blender and just blend it out on my face. And I like to use beauty blenders because they really do make sure that the product is more natural looking and it's just really nice and blended into the skin. So especially for a wedding day, you want to make sure that your face is flawless. So I'm going to do a little bit of contouring with a darker foundation. This is a NARS Velvet Matte Foundation Stick in the shade called Trinidad. So I'm just going to place some of that where I want things to be nice and contoured, so like my cheekbones here. I'll do under the lip, under the chin, my forehead, and around. So I know it looks crazy now, but once it's blended in, everything will look nice and you will definitely have more definition. So I'm just going to use this brush over here just to kind of blend it. This is just a Tarte blending brush. You can use any kind of smaller blending brush to make sure to blend everything out. Okay, so now to conceal my under eyes, I'm going to use this Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. This is in the shade called Almond, and I love this stuff here, so I'm just going to place that all in my under eyes and then blend it out with a damp beauty blender. You can see that I'm using that concealer just to kind of sculpt where the eyeshadow is. I'm just going to really lift the eyes and make everything look super clean. So that's another really good trick with the concealer. You kind of just sculpt your eyeshadow yourself. Okay, so now to set the under eyes, I'm going to go in with this loose setting powder. This is by Givenchy, and it is their PRISME LIBRE powder, and this powder is really nice because it's super finely milled, and they actually have 4 different colors in here, so it's really good to like color correct, and I just really love it for the under eyes. So I'm just going to place some of that with this beauty blender here. This is a damp beauty blender. I'm just going to get some of the powder on there and kind of just make sure I really set the under eyes really nicely with that. Okay, so as you can see, I did place quite a bit, and I'm just gonna let that bake on my under eyes for a little bit. Before we bronze, I just want to set my foundation also because I do want things to last all day and look quite flawless. So I'm gonna go in with this BECCA loose powder. This is their soft light blurring powder. So for me, this is like perfect for a wedding day because it just totally kind of just like blurs your whole face, and it just gives you this like flawless airbrush look, which is perfect for any day, but of course for a wedding day. And I'm gonna go in with this Morphe JH01 really big powder brush. I'm just gonna place some of that powder, kind of like a peachy shade powder, but you don't really see any color. I'm just gonna place some of that onto the brush and just pounce it into my skin. So I'm not like dragging, I'm just literally pouncing it just to make sure everything's nice and set. Okay, so while we have that under eye powder still baking under the eyes, I'm going to go in with this new bronzer from NARS. It is so beautiful. I just don't even want to use it because it's so pretty, but I do want to use it on camera for you guys. This is their bronzer called Paradise Found, and it's just really beautiful. There is a golden kind of glitter overlay, so I don't really want that on my face. I know that they added it just because it's super pretty, and some people don't mind the glitter, but I kind of don't really want too much glitter. I'm just going to kind of see if I can wipe it off with this other brush here. And as you can see, you can totally wipe it off. Okay, so underneath that, you get the bronzer, and it's really beautiful. It's a really nice, beautiful shade, and I'm gonna go in with my favorite bronzing brush. This is the Morphe JH02 brush, and I'm just gonna place that pretty much all over because I wanna look really nice and bronzed and glowy. Wow, I really love this bronzer so far. It's just really beautiful. From like the first swipe, I can just see that it does not look like muddy or anything. It just totally blends out beautifully, and it's like the perfect shade. It's like not too cool toned and it's not too warm. It's really, really nice, and it is quite matte. There's like a little tiny bit of like satinness to it, but it's pretty matte, so don't be scared of that golden overlay. It just comes off super easily, and it's just really beautiful. So I love this bronzer, and I love how big it is and how they give you a nice big mirror as well. Okay, so we are nice and bronzed, and I just have to say I'm in love with this bronzer. I think it is like my new favorite bronzer, so if you guys were thinking about those new bronzers, definitely try them for yourselves. You will love them. They just like blend like so beautifully. I just can't explain it. Okay, so now just using a fluffy brush, I'm just gonna kind of wipe off that under eye powder. The concealer is completely set now because we've been baking for quite a bit. Okay, I'm just going to take some concealer and highlight my nose. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in their satin finish in the shade called Fair Warm. I'm just going to take some of that onto this little thin pencil brush, and I like to do this before I use any kind of powder highlighting. I just like to use the concealer so it really has a nice base and it'll stay all day long. I'm just literally placing a little bit of that, and then I'm going to blend it out with my fingers. Now, if you don't like a nose highlight, you don't have to do one. This is even just the concealer is enough just to kind of give some structure to your nose. I definitely love a nose highlight, so I'm going to be placing some powder on top of that after. Okay, so before we go in with the blush and the highlighter, I'm gonna finish my eyes. So I wanna finish the under eyes. I'm gonna use this a little brush here. This is a Morphe M507 brush, and I'm gonna use that same shade that we used in the very beginning in the crease called Brave, and I'm just gonna place that all on the lower lash line and kind of just smoke it out a bit. Okay, now going in with an angled brush, I'm gonna dip into this shade here. This is like a rich brown. It has a little bit of gold shimmers in there, but you won't really see them. I'm just gonna take that angled brush, and then I'm gonna use that to line the lower lash line, just kind of right below the waterline, just to really kind of highlight the eyes and just make them a little bit more rich. And then I'm just gonna blend that out using a clean blending brush, just a thin one. So now in the waterline, I'm going to use one of my favorites. This is the NARS High Pigment Longwear Eyeliner in the shade called Rue Bonaparte. And it's just the perfect nude liner, and I love to put it in the waterline because it kind of just makes your eyes look bigger and makes you look more awake, so that it's great for a wedding day. So I'm just going to literally place that just on the lower waterline. So just to show you a comparison, you can see my right eye compared to my left eye. This has the nude in the waterline. It just makes your eyes just look bigger, and I just think it's really pretty, and for wedding photos it will look amazing. So I definitely suggest a nice nude in the waterline because it's not too harsh and it really makes you look super pretty, and I just love it. Okay, now to highlight the inner corner of the eyes, I'm going to use this new NARS Power Chrome Loose Eye Pigment. This is in the shade called Castaway, and it is like a beautiful like a diamondy pearl shade with some like golden glitters and like pinks even. It's just kind of like iridescent, so it's really beautiful. And these are new from NARS, so I'm gonna try them for the first time. I'm just gonna use this small flat brush here. This is a Morphe JH41 brush, and I'm just gonna place that on the inner corner. I really like this because it's not like too bright where it's like blinding, because there is like other shades of like nice yellowy golden in there, and it's just really nice. I think it looks really beautiful on the inner corners. And I'm going to kind of just drag it a little bit on the lower part over there, just to really open up the eyes. So I am of course going to put on a pair of false lashes. You really don't have to, it's totally up to you. Before I do that, I'm going to put some mascara on. This Maybelline The Falsies Lash Lip Mascara. Of course you could use even a waterproof mascara. That might be helpful because you might cry a little bit on your wedding day. Tears of happiness, of course. So I'm just going to place some of that on my top and bottom lashes, and then I will pop on a pair of lashes after that. For lashes, I'm going to go in with this kind of like wispy but still not too dramatic pair. This is actually a pair I got from eBay, and I love these ones here. I will link them in the description. They're just really nice kind of like wispy beautiful lashes. I'm just going to put them on, and I'm going to use this House of Lashes eyelash adhesive. This is just their clear one, so I really love this one. It's really great. So the lashes are on. Now we have to add a little bit of blush and some highlights, and I'm gonna go in with some of my favorite blushes. These are the BECCA Wanderlust blushes, and I really love these two shades in particular. This one here is called Seashells. It's a really nice kind of like a neutral, just like glowy blush. It's really beautiful. And then this one here is called Goa, and it is definitely more of like a berry shade with a little bit of like sheen to it. So I like to just add a little touch of that just to kind of really make your cheeks look nice and flushed. So first I'm going to go in with the Seashells one, and you guys can see it's kind of like a bronzy shade. It's super pretty with a little bit of sheen to it. So I'm going to go in with this Morphe JH06 brush and just pounce a little bit of that on my cheeks. So this blush is really pretty. It's nice and soft, so it's good when you just kind of want to add a little bit of color to your face and a little bit of like glow. As you can see, it just makes like your face like just look a little glowy and like very natural, so I love that. If you don't like a lot of highlighter but you just want something very subtle, then this is definitely the blush for you because it is like beautiful. So now I'm going to add a touch of this bright berry color here. This is really pretty just to kind of make your cheeks pop a little bit and add a little bit more life into your face. I'm just going to place that towards the apples and like the front part of my face here. I also like to add a little bit on the bridge of my nose, just to kind of make everything just come together, and you look a little bit sun-kissed as well. Okay, now to highlight, of course, if you don't like a lot of highlight, I think that this blush is perfect because it adds a little bit of a glow, but it's very subtle. But I do like to add a little bit more glow, so I'm going to use one of my favorite highlighters. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Resi highlighter, and it is just stunning. I think that the shade is perfect for so many skin tones, so it's really versatile, and it is like the perfect like bright golden shade, and I just love the formula. I love everything about this highlighter, so it's amazing. So first I'm going to go in with this small little brush here, and I'm just going to place some where we use that concealer on my nose. I just want to really make my nose highlight pop. And then using this Morphe JH09 brush, I'm going to place a little bit of that on my cheekbones and anywhere else I want to glow. As you can see, you only need like the tiniest amount and you will be glowing. I don't want to add too much. I think that's enough. I just love the way that this highlighter looks on the skin because it kind of like melts into the skin. It just makes it look nice and wet. So that is really beautiful. I'm gonna add a little bit above my lip here on my Cupid's bow, a little bit on the chin, and then a little bit just above the brows. Okay guys, so we are almost done. We just have to do the lips. So first I'm gonna line my lips with this NARS Precision Lip Liner. This is in the shade called Bents, and it's just a really nice rosy kind of nude shade. So I'm just gonna line my lips first with that. I'm just gonna take that lip liner and roughly just fill in my lips with that. As you can see, that is like the perfect like rosy nude lip liner. I really love this shade. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of this lipstick. This is actually a new lipstick from Bare Minerals, and this is in the shade called Grace. And these lipsticks are really nice because they're very natural. There's not a lot of ingredients in them. They have really great ingredients and like moisturizing ingredients because you do want your lips to look nice and plump and moisturized. So these lipsticks are great for that, and this shade is a really nice rosy shade, almost pretty much matching our lip liner, and it is in a satin finish. I really love this shade. If you're a bride, this will look amazing because it's rosy, it's nude, and it kind of just makes you look more awake and just really nice and soft while still giving a little bit of nice color to your lips. You can honestly just leave it at that if you want more of a matte look, but I like a little bit of gloss. I'm going to add this Buxom gloss. This is in the shade called Mariah, and it is like a really beautiful iridescent light pink shade. And this is their plumping lip polish, so it will even plump your lips a bit, which is always a plus. So this gloss has a lot of like iridescent glitters in there, so it really does make your lips look super plump and glowy, which is really beautiful. Okay guys, so we are all ready for our wedding. I know that a lot of weddings have been canceled because of this COVID, and I've actually had a few friends that have had to postpone their weddings, which is such a shame. But if you guys are still doing a wedding this year, somehow, some way, then maybe this video could help you a little bit, or even for your weddings that have been postponed, maybe next year, this will give you some idea. I really love the way that this more natural bridal look came out. You could totally wear this if you're the bride, if you're in the bridal party. I just think that it was super easy to achieve. You could do this yourself. As you can see, the step-by-step, it wasn't too hard. I do believe that you guys could totally achieve this look yourselves, and you will look amazing. I do think it is a super flattering look for everybody, and I just really love how it turned out. I also did a more dramatic bridal look, I think about last year, so if you guys are into more of like the glam bridal looks, then I will link that in the description. This one is definitely more soft, subdued, really beautiful and glowy. If you guys like this tutorial, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!